everybody, Jim from Jim's Coleus. How you doing? Ooh, hot today. We got some really hot weather here in the east New Jersey, 90s. I'm by the ocean, so we got a nice breeze. We're almost always get a nice ocean breeze. So generally, if the weather forecast says in 90s, we're usually a few degrees cooler, but it's still hot, humid, not good for people. Unless you're under a nice awning, a nice shady spot, but perfect for Coleus. Beautiful. Let's see here. We'll show you the Coleus in a minute. Anyway, those of you who wonder maybe how I keep my greenhouse, how I control the heat in my greenhouse when it gets so hot outside. You know, if it's 95 and stifling, humid, and we do get occasionally, we do get days that there's no breeze. So how do I keep my plants alive? What is it that I do to keep my greenhouse under control? Because as much as Coleus love heat, too much stifling heat can damage them and kill them. So let's go in. I'll show you exactly what I do, and thanks again for following along. So let's go take a look. Okay, so if those of you who've been following along, a few weeks ago, I guess it was a week or so ago, I did a little video on my multi-season garden, and as you can see already, the butterfly tree is blooming right along, which is beautiful, because now I'm going to start getting my monarch butterflies and so forth. The flowering cactus have dropped their flowers, and so this is the multi-season garden. Now next stage will be these and the flowering butterfly bushes, and we can see lots and lots and lots of buds, flowers coming through. This is going to be a really beautiful, full, flowery, colorful butterfly tree. Going to attract a lot of bees and a lot of butterflies, and it's perfect for pollination. It makes it for a very healthy ecosystem environment. So a little overgrown, takes some time to take care of it all, but just gave it a good shot of Miracle Grow, and it really makes a big difference. There's a sunflower coming in. So okay, let's head into the greenhouse. And I do have a video. If you look through my long list of videos, I made this myself. I mean, you can buy them, metal ones, they get pretty expensive. I did a video on how I built this greenhouse. If you're not familiar, if this is the first time you're joining me, it's a standard lean-to style greenhouse with pressure treated lumber, 2x4 railroad ties, and so forth. So anyway, let's go in and take a look. Okay, so what do we got going on here? It's about 88, 87, 88 degrees here in the Jersey Shore today. So why isn't it, well over 100 in here? Well, there's a number of reasons why. One of the main things you need with Coleus is shade. And as much as they need sun, they do need some shade. And what I do is put this, when I built my greenhouse, and I replaced this once already in 5 years, so they're pretty cost effective. I'm sorry for the bad camera work, but anyway, this is what's considered a 40% shade cloth. It's a landscape shade cloth, and they're pretty durable. Like I said, they last about 5 years, and I rip it off and then I just put a new one on, and it really cuts down a lot of a great amount of the intensity of the sun from my greenhouse. And without this, the temperatures inside would soar. Even with the doors open and other things, the temperatures would soar well above 100, and pretty much things would just die. I mean, I wouldn't be able to really keep up on the watering. So this shade, now the sun, this is on the northeast corner of my property. Got the ocean on that side. Sun goes east to west, obviously. So later in the afternoon, it's around 3 o'clock now, the sun starts to set. It's going to start screaming directly in here, so I drop this flap down so it cuts out that sun beating directly in. The rest of the time I have little hooks here, and I will just keep the shade cloth up to make sure we get plenty of bright sunlight in there, not direct but bright light, because that's the name of the game with Coleus. You need, as much as they're shade plants, they need sunlight. They need bright daylight, bright sunlight, a little bit of sun, but they need a rest. And the heat in here really can take its toll, so I mess around with the shade cloth. And the shade cloth is up on the top here. Again, check through my list of videos. It's one of my first earlier videos on how I actually made this. It was pretty cheap and pretty easy to do, so recommend making yourself. And it doesn't have to be this big. You can make a little one. Very, very easy to do. Of course, the smaller the greenhouse, the more the hotter it'll probably be. So anyway, I just gave them a lot of water. I have all my Coleus. You can see I have all these Coleus on the floor and the hanging baskets, and you may be wondering, hey, they're hanging baskets, why do you have them on the floor? Well, I rotate them around. I do hang them on here. I'll move them around, but I like to give them a rest, and they actually grow very well down here. Just a nice condition. They get that bright light, and up here they could be a little, just even with the shade cloth, could be a little harsh, but I do hang them up and I do rotate them around and so forth. I actually sold a lot of Coleus last week at the farmers market. I have another one tomorrow. And again, if you are a follower and you're in New Jersey, I'm in Ocean County. I'll be at the Bay Head Farmers Market from 1 to 6 p.m. tomorrow and each Thursday until I run out of Coleus. It's Bridge Avenue, right adjacent to Manasquan Savings Bank. It's right near the ocean. It's a beautiful, beautiful town. So if you even a day trip, come on down, buy some Coleus. I'd love to meet you, and you can spend the day at the beautiful Jersey Shore. Lots of restaurants, even though there's restrictions, they do have outdoor seating and so forth. But anyway, back to the greenhouse. How do I control the heat? How do I keep the heat going? And as you see here, I have an oscillating fan, and this is extremely important for two reasons. Obviously, it keeps the air moving, keeps the temperatures from inside the greenhouse. It just cools things down an awful lot, and it keeps insects. You can see that breeze here. Insects like to hang out on the bottom of leaves, whether they're white flies, the mealy bugs, any of those white spiders, any whatever type of plant. Bugs like to hang out in the shade, just like an umbrella, just like people. They like to hang out on the nice shady protective leaves, and they got their meal right there, so it's a one-stop shop for them. So this fan air movement makes it uncomfortable for the insects. It makes it sort of like, hey, this is not very comfortable, so let's move on. So this is another reason why I have the fan going. Gets the oxygen going through here. Got the outside. Now I can do two options. I can either turn the fan as an exhaust and suck the heat out to the outdoors, but because I have a pretty wide open, I have a vent window here, the large door, and then I have a drop down vent window in the back, and I'm gonna swing around and show that to you. I have a nice cross ventilation going here, so I keep the fan by the door oscillating. I don't have it at high, I have it at medium, because I don't want to really damage the plants. And this keeps a good amount of air moving, and it really knocks down the heat. Otherwise, it can get over 100 degrees in here, and it is kind of harsh on the Coleus. The smaller your pots, the more you need to water them if they're going to be outdoors. Like a little pot like this could be on a patio table, and obviously if it's sitting in direct sun, it's going to dry out in no time. So you need to really be careful with these little pots. Hanging baskets like this with good quality Miracle Grow or any kind of moisture retentive soil, you're going to have a better chance of skipping a day or so. So the larger your pot, the better your the better your chances of skipping a day of watering. So the little pots, so forth, I have down on the floor. I just don't have room. I have some other singles and trays, and then obviously all of these different decorator pots. Some of them are not ready, some of them, and I spread them out again for my sale. So I just took these out the other day and trimmed them again, and then I'm pretty much done trimming. I will, at this point, I will just keep knocking off the tops if they've reached the height that I want. And you can apply that to your own Coleus. If your Coleus are in a pot, they reach a certain height where anything taller, they're going to flop down on you. They get kind of leggy, or if they're larger leaf varieties, the larger leaves are going to flop the stems down. So you want to keep them at a height that you feel comfortable with, where they're standing up where you can look and enjoy them. Then from there on, you keep cutting those two tops, as I've mentioned in all my other videos. The two tops, the two little new leaves that keep coming in, just keep snipping those off with scissors, maintaining your plant, cutting away dead leaves, any leaves in the soil. In here, I rotate my plants around and so forth, but a beautiful breeze coming through here. No insects. I'm really lucky. You may ask, do I get any varmints that run through here? Seeing I have my Coleus on the floor here, do I get squirrels? I don't. We have a pretty large population of chipmunks, but they don't seem to really come in here and bother anything. I did find one pot, one of the baskets that had a little thing, it looked like maybe a chipmunk dug in it. But overall, I never have any kind of rodent problems back here, so I'm very lucky. So, but this is really it. I have these, the chicken wire. This is greenhouse plastic. You can actually see the markings. And as I mentioned in my other video, if you're interested in learning how to make your own greenhouse, it's pretty simple. And I'm not a carpenter by any means. So, but there is specific greenhouse plastic. I got it on eBay. It actually has an inside and outside. It's marked. It'll say this side inside. Very important that you do that. Shade cloth, chicken wire, 2x4 pressure treated studs, and I also put wood life on them. So this is gonna last. This is about 8 years old now, and this is going to last. Or not 8 years old, I think it's around 5, I should say. But regardless, it's gonna last. It's really sturdy. I have railroad tie base and really multiple layers of womanized pressure treated plywood flooring, and a lawn floor with the little temporary indoor outdoor plastic bottom where I can just rip out. So everything's watered. I got them all ready to go for tomorrow afternoon. Everything's nice and watered, and I sprayed them all down. I make sure these are nicely watered and drained, and that really increases the humidity inside here, because we're getting all of that water evaporating, and it does get caught up, although there is a nice breeze here. But it really does wonders to the Coleus. It makes a great ecosystem, a great growing ecosystem here. And there's the insect spray soap. Again, if you're having insect troubles, this is the stuff I recommend. It's natural insect killing spray soap, but it's very pungent. So if you're going to use this stuff, use it on fairly mature Coleus, spray it under the leaves, a little in the soil. Make sure you wear a mask or are in a good ventilated area, because it's very pungent, very strong. And I think that's really, when I spray it, I say to myself, no wonder why the insects run from this stuff, because it really is pretty horrible smelling stuff, and it really sticks around. After I spray, I do see some insects. If I do suspect a few, I'll spray some in here, and I'll come back 10 minutes later and I can still smell the stuff. So it is pretty effective and strong. So, which is probably why I don't have insect problems in here. So, okay, so you can see we just move things around. Everything looks really good. I'm looking forward to my sale tomorrow. Again, Bayhead, New Jersey. Bayhead, New Jersey, Bridge Avenue, right near the ocean. Ocean County, New Jersey. It's about an hour north of Atlantic City, an hour south of Newark. Right next to Point Pleasant Beach, Seaside Heights. We're right near Seaside Heights. We're about 15 minutes north of Hasbrook Heights, of Seaside Heights, rather. So if you're in the area, please stop by. I'd love to meet you. So, okay. So hope you enjoyed my little tour. And this is really how we maintain order, how we maintain a good environment in the greenhouse. You can see we're close to, we're just over 90, I'd say we're about 92 degrees in here, which is good. So, okay, hope everybody has a great weekend. Hope your week was well, busy, and we'll look forward to our next video next week. Take care, everybody. Have a great weekend. And thanks for watching Jim's Holiest of Coleus.